Hi, Melanie Muenchinger here, illustrator for Gina K Designs. Today I'm going to be sharing another project that I made with my Lots of Letters 2 set, as well as with my original Lots of Letters. The inspiration that I had for this particular project was from this incentive stamp duo that I received with a cardstock order that just came in from Gina K. This is one of 3 different incentive stamps that you can earn this month with a qualifying order, or they will be available for purchase later if this is not a good time for you to purchase. You could also use one of the daisy images from my A Year of Flowers or A Year of Flowers 2 sets to recreate this project. But I thought it would be really fun to replace the center of this flower. Sometimes I use things like buttons or other images, but there are so many different fun elements in these 2 letters sets, all these different circles that I added to fill in these flower borders or the individual flower or just to make designs. But I'm going to show you how seamlessly you can use one of these different elements to fill in a more detailed image like this flower. The card that we're making is this hope card. I created this for someone who is very sick right now, and I think that hope is a really nice greeting for someone who maybe is not going to get well soon but has a very long road ahead, or a lot of times you know somebody, maybe they're never really going to be well of that illness, so it's always great to have hope. The tools and products that you'll need for this particular card, you're going to need this, especially for you incentive duo, and some small and large blocks. Going to use the Lots of Letters 2 set, and I'm going to show you how to use this dashed line like faux stitching. You're also going to be using one of the circle elements. You can choose the one that you want. I like this little sunburst one, so that's the one that we're using today. Going to be needing some cardstock. So I've got the black, the white, and the Pure Luxury Sweet Corn. 2 different ink pads, the black Onyx and the Kraft ink. I have a 3/4 circle punch that will fit all of the different circle elements, but if you'd like a wider rim around it, you can also use a 5/8 or a 1-inch circle punch. Finally, I have just some of the Kraft buttons and some of the 5/8 black gingham ribbon to accent that, and then I've got some glue dots and some foam squares for popping up my letters. All right, to get started, excuse me, I kicked the stand, had to make sure I was still in focus. So I'm going to start off by stamping this daisy, and you'll notice I stamp off on almost every card. I just really like the variety and also how quickly I can go without having to restamp. So I'm going to place this flower where I know that the center is going to still be on my mat so that I can fill in that first letter H. So I'm going to stamp that, lift it, and then stamp it again. And it's okay if they're not completely lined up at the end. You can kind of fudge where you're going to want to put those different popped up letters, because a lot of it is going to be covering the center of that circle. So I'll show you what I mean in just a second. So we'll re-ink it again. We'll stamp it a 3rd time and then a 4th time. Okay, so this is where your letters are going to go. I have a little more space in between here, but I can put them a little closer together and it'll still cover those centers. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ink up this dash line. If you've watched all of my videos with Lots of Letters 2, you've seen this dash line already that I used to create a little middle guideline for the letters, but I love having dash lines to create faux stitching. So just you're going to place that across the bottom and the top, and this just always gives it a really homespun, handmade quality. So you see how quickly that went. And it just works so nicely with the daisies because it's just such a sweet country card. Okay, now I'm going to take this little scrap of white and I'm going to stamp out, instead of doing the starburst, I think I'm just going to show you a different look, this stitch circle. This is from Lots of Letters. And I'm going to stamp it 4 times so that I'm getting those 2 different shades of craft. Okay. And you could also use the lowercase letters from Lots of Letters, but today I'm just going to go ahead and use those uppercase. So here's my sheet. So we've got this little printout guide on there for you so I can find the letters right away. So H, and then I'm just going to quickly tap that off so I don't get ink on my fingers, mess up my project. And we'll do the O. P. And this index sheet has just saved my life. I can always find my letters. I know that before I start the video, I've got them all right there and ready to go. So feeling very organized for once. Okay, cute. And so that goes really nice with that faux stitching as well, that little dash around the circle. And I also have that one with the dotted ring and the new lots of letters set. So to punch out my letters, I always put the punch face up. You just center it right under there, pop that out. P. And finally the E. Okay. All right, now we're going to add those right over those centers. So get them lined up the way that you want. So this card goes together really quickly. And it looks like my cat took my phone squares. I'm not kidding you. So I'm going to go ahead and just, instead of popping these up, I'm going to add them with glue dots. So gotta be ready to change your plan, but I really like, and it does give it just a little bit of dimension. There's still some width to these glue dots. O, P, and finally the E. Okay, and then you're just going to wrap the gingham around this, and if you want to cut it on the back just to save a little bit of the gingham and adhere it, you can do that as well. But I'm just going to tie this in a real quick knot. And you can also use your glue dots to hold this down. And then I have some Fiskar scissors that I like to trim my ribbon with. I use it only for ribbon because paper really dulls your scissors. And then you would just take a button. I don't have that same button from this card in the assortment anymore because they're all completely different. But you just pick out one that you like, and then you would just adhere that behind the knot with the glue dot. And that's it. And then you would just put that onto your folded base. I hope you enjoyed this card. I hope you see some different ideas for using these circles as well as using the letters. I just think it's a really fun way to spell something out as well as to fill in a large area for your design. Thanks for watching today.